Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got some great information today as far as automation of accounts payable. I think probably over the last 24 months, this has probably been the hottest topic for our customers. With COVID coming in and people working remotely and just really trying to do more with less. So I think this is a super solution. We've worked with this company for at least 2 decades. And we'll stop at that. So very proven solution, great group of people to work with, and I'm really pleased to present and to share this with everybody that's in attendance today. So with that, I'm pretty much turning it over to Patrick to get it started, and look forward to working with everybody. Y'all take care. Patrick?
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, folks, for joining us this morning. My name is Patrick Wynn. I'm a sales director here with Alltech for the Southeast region. Also with me is Brian Fell. He's the manager of our pre-sales engineering team, who will be facilitating the demo portion today. Alltech's the name of our company. DocLink is the name of our solution that we develop, publish, and support and implement here at Alltech. We're going to talk about why you need to automate accounts payable and why that's so important. And that's where we're focusing on today. Certainly, DocLink is a truly enterprise-wide document and content management system, and you can utilize DocLink for any type of document process and workflow that you may have. But we're going to focus on AP and AP automation today. What we're going to cover is topics of discussions today. What we're going to cover is the value of automating AP. What is DocLink? Give you folks an overview on what DocLink is in case you don't already know. How to automate AP, customer successes that have happened by implementing DocLink for their AP department, and how you can utilize DocLink for other departments. And we're going to have some polling questions, so definitely would love you folks to be interactive and work with us on the polling. With that, we come to our first polling question, and Lauren, if you can pop that up on the screen, let the folks select, the best answer. Where do you see the value of AP automation for your organization? Is it having the capability for remote access to documents? Is it B, streamlined approval process and not having a manual approval process? Is it your organization looking to save time overall, or is it cost savings that you're looking to accomplish? Or is there a strategic initiative or goal that you have in place? Maybe your organization is acquiring another business, or you're growing a lot. What is that? Definitely select the answer that best suits where you see the value of AP automation is for your organization. Folks, a few seconds here to select.
All right. So again, people are answering. Okay. Wow. Huh. Okay. So most, actually, almost 100%. Actually, 100% have selected overall time savings.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah,
And that's a pretty common area that we see. Time savings, because manual AP process is very time consuming, and that's where DocLink can really help you. During the past 2 years, we have had quite a bit of dialogue with a lot of our customers. And as you see here, some of the testimonials and things that our customers have said to us when we've had, when we reached out to customers utilizing DocLink during the last 2 years of the pandemic. And as you can imagine, they were quite nervous about COVID-19. And what was going on there and how it was going to impact their business. After the initial shock, they were all comforted and they felt comfortable with continuing with their business because they had DocLink in place, right? Employees were able to go work remote, work from home, work wherever they needed to without having to go into the office, because they were able to access documents, content, have workflow approval, all electronic, all remote. So with DocLink, our customers felt very comfortable over the last 2 years. So some of the key drivers for AP automation is accounting departments suffering from high AP transaction costs and cycle times. Research has shown by here, as you can see, the source here, Ardent Partners, for example, that AP automation best-in-class accounts payable performance significantly lowers processing costs for these organizations and time per invoice, as shown in the chart that you see here. When companies are able to automate their AP invoice process, cost is about 81% lower, and processing cycle times is around 73% faster. And I know the folks here 100% said, you know, time saving. So imagine if you could save 73% of the time it takes you now, you know, how does that affect your organization? You're able to do more with less at the end of the day, right? So best-in-class AP programs, two of the biggest performance advantages is time, savings, and money. So those are the key factors here, and it's really important for a lot of organizations to consider these days. You know, being able to do more with less, and having that cost and time savings. Further research has shown that initiatives by companies when looking at streamlining AP processes is to go two things. One is to go paperless, and two is automating workflow. And based on a survey by the Institute of Financial Management, these two items emerge as the top AP automation priorities, right? It's the paper and going paperless, and automating their workflow. So two huge things, two of the top things that we see. The cost of touching documents is really unnecessary, right? Why do you have to touch a paper document? When we see customers that a lot of organizations are getting invoices in electronically, but what happens is they still print it out. You know, they get it through email, or maybe they download it from their vendor site, but they're still printing it out because their processes are so manual that they're still printing out the invoice, routing it around for review and approval, and then storing the paper document in filing cabinet. So the cost of touching, you know, filing, retrieving for documents, workflow, and then recreating the document if it gets lost or destroyed, sometimes it's a waste of time and cost, right? So eliminating the manual touching, the manual paper process is a high value add, right? Being able to eliminate that. Here's an example of a customer, Smart City Telecom out in Florida, with multiple acquisitions and mergers. They are a leading provider of event technology services nationwide here in the U.S. Company wanted to make an approval process for invoices more efficient, but then they were also motivated to go green for their organization. And the accounting department, they were really challenged by managing the approval process on a manual basis, and then invoices were simply not moving through the process quick enough. They weren't able to get managers to approve invoices quick enough. The company needed a way to route invoices around to the appropriate personnel electronically without losing important records and information. They also wanted to make sure that the invoices got approved in a timely fashion. So we put time limits on the approval process. So, you know, managers get notified they have X amount of days. They can get re-notified with a second reminder, and even have escalation procedures in place where if things don't get approved on a timely manner, it gets escalated to someone more senior to take care of the approval process. And with DocLink, they are entirely paperless. All their accounting records are now available and accessible through DocLink electronically. Items can no longer be delayed because it's sitting on someone's desk or inadvertently thrown in the trash, right? Invoices were actually getting lost and misplaced or tossed. As a communications company, Smart City Telecom is required to store invoices for a longer period of time than most other companies. So simply with having DocLink in place, they were able to reduce their approvals delays, which average 5 days or more to 1 day. They also save time or save in terms of offsite storage costs, which they have, you know, in the total of around $18,000 a year. And really the key thing here is reduction of time and even money for their audits. So 85% reduction in time and in cost for their audits. Huge, huge benefit for this customer. AP automation elements for success. It's about having visibility. It's about having collaboration between different departments, especially on the approval side. It's about having control of your AP process and knowing, you know, your accruals and what's outstanding, and having that automation as well, and integration with the ERP. That's what's important. So visibility, you know, in the current AP world, there's these 4 elements, but with visibility, it's so important because having visibility to where an invoice is at in its approval process, who approved it, who still needs to approve it throughout your organization, because invoices can be approved by any manager in all different departments. So it's important to have that visibility and productivity in your organization and process efficiency in place, which in turn saves you time and money. Next, we're going to touch on collaboration. Collaboration, think about the cross-functional coordination among key stakeholders of different groups and departments in your organization. Being able to collaborate and have the approval process cross different departments, whether it is a finance group that needs to approve it, you may have approval based on vendor, you may have approval based on dollar amount, routing things around, maybe marketing needs to approve, maybe IT needs to approve certain things, operations, whatever it may be. Having the key stakeholders have the capability to approve and have visibility to their invoices, but then also, you know, collaboration maybe with the procurement department, right? With purchases, and collaboration with your suppliers as well, because you can utilize DocLink as a supplier portal as well. Control. Having control. So think about, you know, having control of your workflow process. Reduce the approval cycle time, you know, so that you don't have to get charged late fees because things don't get approved on time. Maybe take advantage of early payment discounts, and then eliminate any duplication of invoices that you may not catch today because maybe the vendor mistakenly sends you the same invoice twice, right? Well, our system will catch that so that you don't, you know, see duplicate invoices in the system, and then also prevent fraudulent payments because we can pick up that information and have checks and balances through our system as well. Automation. So think about automation of lowering the cost and streamlining AP sub-processes. So picking up the automation of the invoice, right? Picking up the invoices from email, running through the approval process, inquiries, validation, reconciliation for purchase-related invoices. So think about how, if you folks use purchases today, how you're automating the matching process, right? Usually someone has to look at the invoice to the receiver, to the receiver or packing slip, to the purchase order itself, and manually reconcile. Well, if we're able to automate that for you, you know, that's huge time savings, right? So the validation and reconciliation and the matching of invoices by streamlining with DocLink is a huge, huge time saver, especially if you get invoices with potentially hundreds of line items, right? How long does that take your team to do that matching when we can do it through our system, automated and electronic? So how does DocLink work for AP automation? Good question, right? DocLink has the ability to connect the right people at the right time with the right documents to effectively do the critical work, their day-to-day job. DocLink with the workflow streamlines operations and give back control of the documents and data, and then of course the transactions to you folks, all electronic. DocLink can also deliver documents outside of the business to your vendors, your partners, your customers, and then allows these same people to access documents if need be through our web portal. And lastly, DocLink fulfills your complete document cycle with workflow. So what is DocLink and what can it do for you? The core of DocLink is the repository where everything is stored and managed. And we have two flavors of DocLink. We have our traditional on-premise version of DocLink. DocLink gets installed on your server, documents are stored there. But then we also have a cloud version of DocLink as well, where everything sits in the cloud. It's a true multi-tenant SaaS solution that runs on the Microsoft Azure cloud. So depending on what your technology preference is, we have on-premise and we have cloud. A lot of different ways to bring in documents or content into DocLink. And of course, the capturing capability is important because you can onboard documents. We can pick up documents directly from email. We can utilize OCR to read data, and that OCR becomes important, especially when it comes to AP invoices and external documents. And we'll touch on OCR today when we get into the demo. We can bring in documents. We have an electronic print capture. So any document that comes from your ERP system, we certainly can electronically bring those in to DocLink. We could read barcodes, pick up documents from automated import network folders. And once documents or reports or content are brought into our system, you can have processes around them, workflow processes to route things around electronically and approval, and have automated routing rules. Like I mentioned earlier, you can route things based on vendor, based on dollar amount, maybe based on what's being purchased, things like that. And we have also, with our process, our two-way integration with different ERPs. We integrate with Sage 100, the ERPs that, Cherry and Emerald TC work with, Sage 100, Sage 500, Acumatica. So we do have our two-way integration certified with those ERPs. Delivering documents outside of our system. So think about, automating, sending out packages out of our system, whether it's to customers or to vendors. Let's say on the customer side, you want to send out AR monthly statements with all supporting invoices. Or to the vendor side, you want to submit the PO with the quote that you receive from your vendor, for an example. Our system can automate that for you. A lot of different ways you can retrieve for documents as well, and we'll touch on that, whether it's directly with our ERP integration through our integration buttons on these ERP screens, and we'll touch on that as part of the demo. But then we also have the capability to access through any web browser or our desktop app or even mobile. We support iOS and Android compatible devices. So why start with AP? I mean, we've been talking about AP, but why start with AP? Because AP is so heavily reliant on paper, making it nearly impossible to operate with, a remote capacity, right? Going remote. And now that things are kind of coming back to normal, people are coming back to the office, but a lot of organizations still have that hybrid workforce. So a couple of days in the office, a couple of days remote. There's obviously a tangible and obvious ROI because AP is so paper intensive. Efficient AP process relies on two things. One, the time to process an invoice, and two, the cost of processes to process an invoice. This is why generally we find AP as a logical start place for most of our clients. I would say at least 80% of our clients start with AP and expand to other groups and departments throughout their organization to go paperless. And that's what we find quite often. By automating accounts payable, there's three major benefits. It's about having a self-service document access to be able to access documents from anywhere. And then it's the timely approval, being able to approve from anywhere, right from your email, right from your mobile device, and eliminating any filing and manual data entry into the ERP system. A seamless integration with your ERP is huge. Here's a diagram of a typical manual AP process that most organizations go through, right? These 12 processes. By automating AP with DocLink, you're able to reduce 60% of these manual steps. So think about implementing AP automation by utilizing DocLink. Really, the only thing you'll need to do is, if it's a non-purchase related invoice, code it. Any approval process that needs to happen is managed electronically. and then promoting to GL, which is the integration into your ERP system. A lot of manual steps completely eliminated. The benefits: by eliminating 100% of your paper invoices, vendors can submit these invoices in multiple different ways. If they mail them to you, just open the mail, scan it in. If it is sent to an generic AP inbox, we could pick up those invoices directly from those inboxes. Really saves you costs and time. You don't have to worry about storage, eliminating storage, whether it's on-site or off-site, eliminating any printing. If you have multiple locations, we see this with a lot of customers where they're, sending invoices to corporate because they get it at the individual locations. So think about the courier costs and the postage costs there. The time savings in terms of, searching, filing, copying, manual data entry, the manual approval process, and the issue with remote access, right? Which is all part of the time savings. But then strategic initiatives that you may have in your organization. You need to grow without having to add additional staff, taking advantage of early payment discounts because you're able to get invoices approved on time and entered into the ERP system, avoid late fees, easier audits, huge cost and time savings by utilizing DocLink for your audits and being in compliance as well. We help organizations being in compliance with different government regulations by having DocLink and business processes in place. And then, are you prepared for natural disasters? Think about, where your organization's at. Are you susceptible to floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, fires? All things you got to think about. If you have things in paper, they can get lost, destroyed with these natural disasters. So having everything electronic and backed up will help with any of those natural disasters. With that, gets us to our next point in our webinar today, which is going into the demo. And at this point, I am going to turn things over to Brian, and Brian will walk through the demo.
Awesome, Patrick. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Don't forget, if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and type that into the Q&A and we'll address that as we go along. I don't see your screen yet, Brian. There you go. I think it's coming.
All right. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. So, as Patrick mentioned, there's a lot of ways of getting documents into the system. One of those is coming directly out of, in this case, Sage. It could be Acumatica, it could be 100, it could be 500. The idea is we have that ability to capture it instantaneously right off of a print queue, okay? And so the beauty of that is just by printing it, I, number one, was able to capture it in DocLink, okay? And number two, okay, what you're gonna be able to see is with DocLink, we also have this ability to send out kind of a, if you will, the purchase order. Notice how PO number 11, of course, this is a early demo system. Notice how I can pass the parameter, I can pass the vendor name, etc. Right? Some people love the fact that we can automatically send not only the PO, but we can send out supporting documents as well. So if I needed to send out a quote or a contract with that purchase order, I certainly have that ability, okay? The other nice part is with DocLink Web, you can start to use it as a customer portal, or in this case, a vendor portal. It does not use a license, a DocLink license. Again, once you own the portal or once you own web, you have that flexibility to kind of use it in other fashions, if you will. Okay. Now, again, the reality is a login would still need to be provided to, depending on your vendor, okay? But you're going to be able to see, notice how when Airway Property logs in, okay, we've already controlled what companies they can see, what document types, all right? We can also indicate what values they can search by, okay? Notice how Airway is already hard-coded. Well, the reason it's hard-coded is so that they're not able to snoop and see other vendors. We're only allowing them to see, of course, their documents, but now they don't have to go and bug AP. Now they don't have to go and bug customer service to see where, you know, the customer PO is, where's our order, or in this case, where, why haven't we been paid? They can quickly see where documents are at any moment in time. So giving them that self-sufficient ability to your vendors. And then of course they can come in and search if they want to take a look at it. They can even preview it without ever having to even you know, open up the document, if you will. Okay. So
Brian, just to clarify, there was a question from Ruth.
Yeah.
Does the vendor have to have DocLink?
Nope, not at all. Nope, we're going to send them. That's a great question. We're going to actually send them a copy of our purchase order. As I like to say, this is a demo system, so this is not the prettiest purchase order of them. But basically, we would be sending the purchase order that's coming out of Sage, and of course, Cherry can help you guys with any logos and nice reports, if you will. But no, the client or the vendor just definitely does not need to have DocLink. All we need is really their email address. We can get that from Sage. We can put that in DocLink depending on how we want to get that. But that also gives us that other flexibility to send it to multiple people, right? This day and age, everyone wants to be copied. Can you copy Patrick just in case I go on vacation? Can you copy Lauren? Well, now we have that flexibility of adding multiple email addresses as well. Okay. So I wanted to, you know, briefly show you, again, have that ability to distribute it if they want. They have that portal at their fingertips. Again, that's up to you if you want to give them access to DocLink. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and log out. All right, so what I wanted to do now is I wanted to log in and share with you our OCR product, right? So oftentimes after that POs came in or went out, someone's gonna go receive the goods. Well, when the invoice comes in, okay, this is where it gives me this flexibility of even giving me a timeline of when documents have come in. And as you can see, this is a demo system, so I'm not processing them. I'm actually leaving them in here. But the nice part is you will be able to see kind of a history, if you will, of invoices and documents going through this system. Okay. Now, we can monitor an email address. We can monitor a scanned folder. So, you know, again, if you get it in hard copy, we want that ability to scan that in and push that into a folder. DocLink will automatically take that folder or take those documents and push it into OCR. Okay. We do have the ability to do drag and drop. Okay. So someone, you know, says, I'm in Paris today, but I have this invoice. Could I just process it real quick? And the answer is yes. If I have that invoice, all I have to do is literally drag and drop it onto this, you know, and I could actually click here and it navigates me out. So you kind of have the ability either to drag into the browser or you can click. And as you can see here, this is where I have this ability to submit a batch. I'm going to quickly submit this batch in effort and time. And as you can see, all we've done is now put this document through what I call data verification, where DocLink now has the ability to come in and read that particular invoice. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to, let's say, a PO invoice, and then I'll be taking you to a non-PO invoice, which is the one that I just put in. So as you're going to be able to see, this invoice, okay, if you will, the very first time was able to grab in a lot of this metadata, okay? There might have been a case where, okay, notice how unless I indicate who the vendor is, the first thing that it did is, guess what? It went into Sage 100, or, in this case, and it brought me back my vendor and my division. Okay, so, depending on the ERP, of course, we're going to want to do a lookup, validate, is this a valid vendor, etc. If this is a PO, right, we're also going to be extrapolating this metadata. So then that way we can take what I say the headache out of having to go and match at the line level, right? So, some people say, no, you know what, Brian, we don't match at the line level. We just, does the PO total match the invoice total? Yep, we could do that. Okay, and then there's other cases where someone may ask, can we do it at the line? We have 40 lines and it's so time consuming. What DocLink does is it's going to go and look line by line. As this, 15 light bulbs, and I'll kind of zoom in so that you guys can see. Do these 15 light bulbs, have they been received already? Because of course we're getting invoiced for 15. And so what DocLink has that ability to do is look at the PO, the packing slip. Yep, it's a 3-way match. We can push it directly into Sage. If there's discrepancies, right, then of course it can either go to the buyer or it can go to the receiving department, depending. Okay. And I'm in video. So. All right, so at this point, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and I could submit this batch, and this actually just sends this information to DocLink. So as you're going to be able to see, this is all point and click. Notice how when I click on this invoice number, it already knew where this was supposed to be. Okay. With OCR, you have the ability to require certain fields, right? So notice how all of a sudden this turned red, meaning, you know what, I need to validate this before I push this into DocLink or further into Sage 100 or Acumatica, Sage 500. So here's where literally by clicking it, it now learns it. Now, I know a lot of times people say, oh, is it template based? No, it is not templated based. This is all AI based. It's intelligent enough to look at key coordinates, and you can train it for it to be intelligent enough to look for keywords like invoice number, like no, invoice pound, just different iterations, right? Customer no. Why? Because the customer number might be their invoice number. So there are cases where our vendors will have different key metadata or words. And so what you can do is you can train it. And then of course the OCR gets more intelligent as it goes, as you process other vendors. Okay. Any questions so far on the OCR piece?
Yeah, just real quick, Brian. So the invoice number doesn't have to be in the same place every time for each vendor?
No,
right?
no, and in fact, this vendor might have it up here, and maybe even tomorrow, Anders Repair decides to change their whole invoice layout, right? And now it's down, inside here, right? Artificial intelligence is smart enough to go and pick it up the next time. It is not templated or coordinate based, even though it looks like I'm clicking here. It's a lot more intelligent and enough. And then there's other ways, depending on how complicated or where you're trying to grab. There's other ways of creating formulas or scripts to enforce that we get, certain values. We can concatenate. Some people might say, our utility bills, they don't come with an invoice number. Could you take their account number, put today's date, and concatenate it, and that's our invoice number? And the answer is yes. So there's a lot of things that we can do, with this software. I'm going to go ahead and load
Sorry, another question, Brian, while we're here. Is there a standard template or fields, or is this part of the implementation process to set up templates based on company needs?
That's an excellent question. So I would say for the most part, vendor code, invoice number, PO number, amount due, due date. I'd say there's a handful of, on the header side, or this is really header footer. When I say header footer, I'm really talking about non-PO invoices. And then we also have some that are for PO invoices. So what I'm getting at is there is kind of standard canned properties. If you wanted to utilize this for other documents, which might be whole another set of properties, right? If I'm doing customer POs, vendors isn't going to really help me much, right? So then, of course, I would have the ability to have properties like customer ID, customer name, sales order, customer PO. So you do have that ability, and I would say that's the nice part about this OCR, the smart capture technology, is not just today I'm focused on AP, I'm focused on invoices, but the reality is you can use this for when I say just about anything. Okay. Any other questions before we move forward?
That's it for now. Thanks, Vi.
All right. So, again, the more important part is, yes, you can add properties. We can require certain ones. Just kind of as a note, for this demo system, I have forced everything kind of to stop so that I can kind of just do some validation, right? But once I turn on what I call steroid mode, or let's just push it right through, okay? If it's green, I wouldn't even have seen this, okay? There's no reason for it to even stop in OCR. It's going to go ahead and move that on to that next step in the process, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and log into our client. So this is our what we call our smart client. I'm going to be logging in as Cheryl, my AP, my accounts payable clerk. Okay. And so, normally, depending on my my permission or my role, will contain what documents I can or cannot see, and also I can see what workflows I have access to. Okay. So with DocLink, okay, here is obviously a list of her queue. You could see invoices. There could be expense reports. There could be check requests. When we talk about workflows, it's really a document's going to drive the process, but like a check request and an expense report, as I say, that's just really a payable at the end of the day. Okay. So here's where I have the ability to come in and code this particular transaction. Okay. So here the difference is I've already gotten all of this information from OCR, right? So I've already got all of the metadata. In some cases, there may be cases where I have a default, okay? And when I say a default, okay, notice how when I click on add for Apple, okay, I have the ability to default GL account code. And similarly, so similarly, like if you set them up in Sage or in Acumatica or in Sage 500, we have that ability to bring it in. So as you're going to see, Apple is one of them that I actually did set up a default expense account code. So, there's cases where you may not have set it up in Sage, and I'm not saying, hey, you go set them up for every single one, because that's not the idea. The ones you want to set them up for are what I call them, our recurring ones that we do frequently, save the end user, considerable amount of time, okay? So this is where we can save time so that someone just puts the distribution, okay? With DocLink, we also have distribution stamp templates, okay? And these templates, notice if I get this every single month for $9,000, well then at that staging point, I have this ability to create what I call this template, okay? Any questions on the template? So,
Nope, no questions, fine.
perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this document. What you're going to see is when I stamp this document, it burns in a permanent page and it allows me to see who's coded it to what allocations, okay? Here we also have the ability to put a sticky note, right? Or maybe I want to draw attention and highlight maybe this amount, okay? Here now I have that ability to now route it around. So, I could say, I'm going to send this directly to the IT manager, okay, for approval because this is an IT bill. I might have automation that says route to approver, and based off, the vendor or some sort of even a segment within the GL, it would now allow me to know where it goes to next, okay? Now, of course, this is just maybe an expense report, coming up, but as you can see, with DocLink, the beauty is even with expense reports, I can now see receipts, before they go directly into Sage 100. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. As you're going to see, we do have that ability to send email notifications. So someone may say, well, wait, that's great. The IT manager is not going to go into DocLink. He has no time, or she has no time. Okay, well, with DocLink, we have different email notifications, okay? So notice in this case, I can pass the information, what invoice, what vendor, what invoice date, etc. here, right? And again, without even logging into DocLink, I was able to see not only the invoice, but I was able to see the actual coding that my AP clerk had done, okay? So the nice part is, without logging into DocLink, without logging into Sage, I have this ability to come in and approve, okay? Cherry Rocks, all right. This is from Cheryl. I'm gonna go ahead and hit submit, okay? And so, as you see, not only was I able to approve it, but I was also able to put in a note, okay, if you will. At that stage in time, maybe it goes to further approval. Maybe I have some sort of automation that indicates this needs to go into someone else's workflow. Okay. What I want to do now is I want to log in, briefly, just to kind of summarize. At some point, this Apple invoice is going to get into Sage. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a different avenue of logging into DocLink. Okay. So when I log into the web client, so very similar, is you see this green, this allows me to be integrated. Okay. So I can be in Sage 100. Okay. And when I click on this view documents button, notice how it brought up this particular invoice. Okay. This is the one that we just put through. Okay. And notice how here you can see when I put that information, Cherry Rocks, in the email, or sorry, in the web browser, you can see that note also passed through. So certainly put Mary's approval. It also put the informational notes. And then the nice part is down the road, right, I can go search for these informational notes, or please pay ASAP, or, vendor's been calling, can we pay them soon, or something like that. Okay. So the beauty as well, it shows the whole workflow history. It will show the audit history, when someone viewed it, when someone added a page, when someone moved it. So when you think about it, an auditor loves this because that's normally what they want to say. Did Cheryl touch it? Who's the one that approved it? Well, again, with this, you have that flexibility. Okay. So that wraps up my part of the session. But again, I just wanted to kind of allude, when I click on this deep integration, we have screens and view docs buttons in different screens. It's really that ability to click on that one button and it automatically recalls those particular documents. In other cases, just 100. Do one more. I also in the web, maybe I want to have favorites, right? So I can see I have 26, waiting for my check review. I have, some in my PO match. Okay. So depending on my workflow, okay, this is where it kind of shows me. And in this case, I might want to see an invoice, a packing slip, and a PO just with the click of a button. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to pass it back to Patrick.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And thank you for walking through the demo of AP automation with DocLink. If you can give me controls, Brian, I can share my screen. Brian, can you give me back controls?
I'm not sure how to. I think you should just be able to share.
I think you have it, Patrick, but here, let me go ahead and do it. There you go.
There you go. No. All right. Great. Continuing on with our presentation, we're going to wrap things up here, getting close to that. Brian walked through the demo. And the key thing the takeaway that from Brian's demo is with DocLink, you're minimizing or eliminating data entry of your AP invoices into the ERP system by automating capturing and indexing of the invoices, reducing any manual reconciliation and matching for PO-based invoices, leveraging existing data in the ERP, such as geocode to code invoices, and then feeding the transaction into the ERP and then allowing you to post and pay from there. At the end of the day, it's about improving visibility and reporting, right? Monitoring workflow statuses, where things are at, where approval's at, anything's changed there, things fall behind. You can have escalation procedures, making sure that invoices are approved on time. Managing audit trail. So with our audit trail history capability with our system, with an invoice, you'll always have visibility to what happens to any document, not necessarily just an invoice, but any type of document. We have full audit history and audit trail there. Improving financial reporting, running accrual reports out of our system with things that are in workflow process and not approved yet, so you'll know that. But then also streamlining intercompany accounting. DocLink can leverage, if you have multi-companies set up in your system or intercompany transactions and stuff like that, we can help you with that with our system. Next, I want to talk about security. With DocLink, a lot of our customers have implemented for multiple departments and groups, not necessarily just finance. They start there, but it's important to have security because you want to make sure that users are only able to access the information that they're allowed to see and access when they log in. So with security, just like your ERP system, you can have multiple companies set up inside DocLink. So at the top level of security, we have company. You as a user, when you log in, which company can you access? And then we go by departments, based on the department that you belong to. What are the document types that you can access? as a user, can you only access accounting-related documents? As a user, can you access HR-related documents, whatever that may be? So we have document type security and then access as well. Then we take it one more step, all the way down to the property values. So the property values are the metadata values for the documents, the property values. So for instance, me as a user, maybe I'm an AP clerk for company ABC, but I only deal with vendors that start with A through M. So when I log in to DocLink, I can only access company ABC, vendors for company ABC. I can access document types like invoices, maybe POs, packing slips, AP payment. Those are the document types I can access. And then property values is any vendor that starts with A through M, and that's all I will see. So we can lock things down. And then once you're able to access the document, what can you do with it? Do you have view rights only? Can you make edits to the property values? Can you print it out? Can you email it out? Can you delete it? What can you do? And whatever happens to the document, we keep a full audit log on what happened and who did what. AP automation customer successes. Let's touch on a few real quick. AAA, everybody knows AAA, well-known organization. They were in high need. They have multiple companies in multiple locations. Key need there for them with AP automation was eliminating the paper. Better communication throughout the different groups and departments and locations. So with their invoices, getting invoices approved on time between the different locations. It's about the accountability, being able to take advantage of early payment discounts if they pay invoices on time and early. And then also being able to manage their expense reimbursement, employee expense reports. So we were able to help them with that. Basically, time savings of reduction of audit times by 85%, postage savings that they had, and courier costs between the different locations of mailing things to corporate, and then reducing AP processing time by 75%. So they initially implemented for DocLink and are going through the whole enterprise-wide document management system to implement DocLink throughout their entire organization. An organization you folks may not know well, another customer of ours, a longtime customer, Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. They are a tramway in Palm Springs, California, where visitors can take this tram from the ground all the way up to the mountain. There is a mountain that's about close to 11,000 feet up, where it's a 2.5-mile ride to the world's. It's the world's largest rotating tram car in Palm Springs. That's where it's located, and the tram was steadily growing at roughly 50% growth over the past 15 years before they implemented DocLink, and this really impacted their business in terms of growing the number of invoices. So the issues they had was storage of paper invoices, too much paper, making storing and filing documents extremely difficult because as they grew. Additionally, the approval cycle time was often slow and tedious, requiring staff to physically be in the office to move the paper through the approval process. And the auditing process was grueling, finding all the required documents that the auditors were requesting was time-consuming and took a lot of effort from their staff to gather all the documents for their auditors. And with DocLink, all the related invoices and documents related to invoices were all digital. There's no more paper to manage. AP was able to get invoices into the system, match them up to the PO, to the receiver. The approval process was easy. Everything was easily tracked and audited. AP no longer spends hours searching for documents, nor were they waiting for people to come into the office to do approvals. Aerial Tramway, the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway uses DocLink for also their journal entries into the ERP system that they're using. So the workload really helped by implementing DocLink, and the volume of invoices that they were growing really benefited by implementing DocLink for this organization, and they still use it today. So how can DocLink impact everyone in your organization? We talked a lot about AP, but there's a lot of other areas that we've implemented DocLink for and streamlined business processes for different departments beyond AP and the matching. So think about the AR process, right? So are you manually sending out AR invoices with supporting documents to your vendors, to your customers today? We can automate that. What about HR? Every organization has HR and employee files. A lot of organizations still store that in paper and filing cabinets. Imagine if you're able to manage that all electronically, maybe with different forms as well. We have a forms capability within DocLink where you can create different forms, and think about finance, accounting related forms, but then also HR forms. What about legal? Your legal group or the people managing contracts, right? We have a capability for check-in, check-out, version control. We have our integration with DocuSign for digital authenticated signature capability. Managing expirations on contracts becomes important, right? Be proactive, 30, 60, 90 days before contracts expire. Have it brought around for review and approval and take action on those early. Field service. We have organizations that are field service clients where folks that are out servicing customers on site, whether it's equipment or a service-based organization like HVAC, they have access to documents at their fingertips, right from their tablet or from their phone, if need be. Facility management, sales order processing, we're seeing that a lot, sales order automation, right? Kind of like the AP automation, we could do sales order automation as well. So we come to another polling question here, our last one for the session. Definitely select the one that best suits you, but what did you learn from today's event? Is it that A, DocLink provides capability for in-office as well as remote workers? Is it B, DocLink has tight integration with different ERPs? Is it C, DocLink works across many departments? Or is it D, it's something that you could see for AP automation that you want today and you'd like us to reach out, contact me now? Definitely select the answer that best suits how you feel about today's presentation.
All right, while we're give them a few moments to do that, I did have a question that popped in. Deb is asking, can customer POs be input into Sage 100 via the service? I assume meaning DocLink.
The answer is yes.
Customer POs, yeah. That's the sales order automation side. Yes, right. We could do sales order. So incoming customer POs, we can OCR that and feed them into and create sales order as well.
Great. Then another question, I went back to the OCR. So if you don't have OCR, how do you manually index your documents?
Yeah, so as you, in the
it has to be. Go ahead,
I was going to say in the demonstration, when we're doing like non-PO invoices, the use of templates allows you to save a lot of time and data entry because you can save, the vendor information, a lot of the GLs, especially for ones that I have multiple accounts. So if I have an invoice that comes in allocated for 20 lines, I can create that template for those 20 lines. And then, of course, that saves me the time of having to go into Sage and enter them in 20 times or Acumatica. That's where DocLink can minimize, even if you didn't have OCR. So, there's still a lot of efficiencies you can gain without OCR. It's just, depending, whether it's on the AP or the sales order side, then it really makes sense depending on your volume.
Great. Okay, then one other question just popped up. So if our accounting software is on-premise, could DocLink be hosted on cloud, or if on-premise accounting software, should DocLink be on-premise as well?
The answer is yes.
It could be cloud. DocLink could be in the cloud. Yeah, we can utilize. We've done integrations, and we have our out-of-the-box integrations between DocLink Cloud to on-premise ERPs, DocLink Cloud to cloud ERPs, and vice versa. It could be a cloud ERP with DocLink on-prem as well. So
yeah, so DocLink
integration works
ERP on-prem, DocLink on-prem with the ERP cloud, DocLink in the cloud. So as you can see, pretty much every flavor.
We could do it all.
Do it all.
We could do it all. Yeah. Our integration works both ways.
Perfect. Okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Go ahead and type in chat. I know we're at the top of the hour, so actually we had A, B's, and D's selected. So awesome. We will be in touch with you to answer any questions you may have. Any last minute words from Cherry, Patrick, Brian?
No, thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again,
If
everybody.
you folks have any questions after today, Cherry's information is here. My information is as well. Reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer any questions. We'll be in touch after the webinar. This webinar was recorded, so we'll get out the recording as well.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.